This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Sunday afternoon, Boise State fans. Welcome on into a joint episode here live on 95.3, The Ticket, KTIK, and Bronco Nation News social media channels with some breaking news on a Sunday afternoon. Spencer Danielson named the full-time Boise State head coach, and we're here to break it down with you. My name is BJ Rains with Bronco Nation News, and we got Mike Prater and John Mallory, host of Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays 3 to 6 on KTIK 95.3 FM, The Ticket. And again, we're streaming live on the radio, on all the social media channels. We wanted to get right to the breaking news here. Mike Prater, Spencer Danielson, the news about an hour old. We're going to hear and see the announcement shortly, but your initial thoughts. Spencer Danielson, now the full-time permanent coach of Boise State football.
I've never seen a hire that has been so tightly sealed before in terms of the process, and it was so obvious at the end. And at the end of the day, Jeremiah Dickey wasted a lot of time and money. I know it's part of the process, but the answer to him was pretty obvious. Spencer Danielson had to be the head coach. When Jeremiah Dickey came here 3 years ago, he had no choice but to hire Andy Avalos. The same exact thing happened again today. Different circumstances, though. He had no choice but to hire Spencer Danielson. He made that decision so hard. And Jeremiah Dickey said in the very beginning, I'm not going to make an emotional hire. Guess what, guys? Jeremiah Dickey just made the emotional hire because it was the right hire.
Yeah, and he did say in his opening statement, or his first, I guess, initial statement that he, put out, and we'll have the press conference tomorrow, but he said that he wasn't going to make it emotional. He went based on, more than that, the interview that he had and things that he had. And I'll pull up the exact statement here, and we'll talk about it in just a second. But Johnny, your thoughts on this, because obviously a big news. And I guess quickly, I value process over results is what he said, Prater. As exciting as it was to win the last 3 games and reclaim the conference championship, from the standpoint of hiring a head coach, it was more exciting for me to hear Spencer's vision and about the future and how he is going to approach the job full-time. He says he's grateful for the work of the search committee, and he says, I'm extremely confident Spencer is an elite leader, a man of great substance, and a rising star in the coaching profession who will lead Boise State to a bright future. So, Johnny, your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I remember when Jeremiah took the podium, he said one thing that really stood out. He always says a lot of things that stand out, guys, but he said, my head, my heart, and my gut. And he said those were the 3 factors. And I think when it just came down to it, Spencer was in his head, he was certainly in his heart, and he was probably also in his gut. I think all along his gut probably told him it's Spencer Danielson. His heart ended up telling him it was Spencer Danielson. And then seeing this football team, this community, and knowing how important this decision was, Jeremiah Dickey in his head said, Spencer Danielson is the right guy for this job, this program, this era, everything we're trying to do with infrastructure and fundraising. This is my guy. And I think Jeremiah Dickey is willing to go down with Spencer Danielson. If we look back on this hire, 2.5, 3 years, and Spencer's out, and they're looking again, and we say, okay, wow, Jeremiah Dickey, for everything great he did, well, he's 0 for 2 in hiring a football coach. Now, I think Jeremiah Dickey is willing to live with that. That's how confident he is that Spencer Danielson is the right person for this job. And, this is going to be a fun time, I think, for Bronco Nation. This will be an exciting offseason. I think everybody will be perked up a little bit with JD and Spencer Danielson. We'll see what happens with the roster. We can talk about all that stuff because there are other moving pieces. There are a lot of variables that come with keeping Spencer Danielson. So I think we can get into those a little bit too. Was I surprised? Yeah, kind of. Guys, I kind of thought and wanted Jeremiah to spread his wings, right? No stone left unturned. Scour the nation that is college football talent in the coaching profession and hire the perfect beast of a coach. Jeremiah Dickey's creation. Turns out it was under his nose this whole time, and we'll We'll see where we go from here. Excited for Spencer, excited for the program, guys.
Based on last year's list, guys, he'll be the second youngest head coach in college football behind Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, I believe. Dan Lanning's in his mid-30s as well. So you're talking about one of the top 5 youngest coaches in college football. Mike Prater, you'd been pretty vocal. You'd said, hey, it's you'd like to see him go outside the family there with this hire. And a lot of people have said that, but a lot of people, I think, as the days went on, every time Spencer Danielson talked, every time players talked about him, every time they won another game, more and more people started to go over to that other side of, okay, I'm okay with Spencer Danielson. I couldn't believe what I was reading yesterday. 3:22 p.m. Give Danielson the job now was Mike Prater's tweet. What do you take about just kind of where you're at now compared to where you were a couple weeks ago, maybe?
Well, first of all, Johnny Ballgame, you're becoming Mike Prater. You're already calling for Spencer Danielson's head 2 years from now, calling for the possibility that he may get fired. Holy cow, he's been on the job for 20 minutes, Ballgame. Slow down. That's usually my role, is to project the negativity. Stories develop, guys, in all seriousness. Stories develop. And in the very beginning, and I almost believe, I don't want to speak for Jeremiah Dickey, I almost believe that he felt that way, that he felt like he needed to go off and hire his big time hire, whether he wanted an offensive guy, a defensive guy, a head coaching guy. It doesn't matter what the details are. He wanted to go off and get the guy. And at the very time, Spencer Danielson was the emotional hire. And I wrote the column for BNN talking about Spencer Danielson's going to do everything in his power to make this the most difficult decision on Jeremiah Dickey's life. And I think that's exactly what he did. So it evolved to the point where you really didn't have much of a choice but to hire Spencer Danielson. Jeremiah Dickey's goal from the second that he got, his first goal was to reunite this locker room, which has already happened. He knew he had a divided locker room, which is why he made a change. And his first goal was to get the unity back in the locker room. Mission accomplished. After that, it was all about the CFP. He couldn't stop talking about making a run into the CFP tournament. I'm not talking about getting into the tournament and winning games and making a run at the national championship. I'm talking about making a run and getting an invite into the CFP, if there's any confusion about that. Making a run at that. The only way you can do that, or the surefire way you can do that, is roster retention. Roster retention. And I think Spencer Danielson is going to hit a home run there. I still think he's probably going to lose 1 or 2 superstars and a couple of role players and maybe a couple of young guys that we've never heard of. That's the nature of the beast right now. But roster retention is important. Spencer Danielson's in place. This roster is going to be mostly in place. The locker room is back. Guess what, guys? Right now, on December 3rd, Boise State's positioned to make a CFP run.
Yeah, I was telling my wife earlier, I mean, if they win this game against UCLA, the offseason excitement and hype is going to be as high probably as it's been in a while, just because of the way they finished this season and how things are setting up for next year. I was pretty vocal, guys. I was a Spencer Danielson guy. I was thinking this would be a great choice. I did kind of caveat that with, who are the other candidates? And we still don't know. Did this come down to Kellen Moore and Spencer Danielson? Who are the other candidates that actually were the finalists? And I think that might play into some people's thoughts, in terms of Spencer Danielson over who? Was it over Brent Vigen, or was it over Kellen Moore? Was it over Tom Herman, Gary Patterson? Who knows? Who was Jeff Choate? I mean, who are the candidates that were actually Bronco Mendenhall? I think that might shape my opinion and other people's opinions about who they actually chose him over in terms of the finalists. But Johnny, I mean, you've been there. We've talked to him. We've done all these press conferences. We learned more in some of the post-interview scrums with Spencer the last couple of weeks than we have in the last couple of years, from a media relationship, from a donor relationship, from a outside, with the fans and social media. It just seems like Spencer is going to be a breath of fresh air from that standpoint that we haven't had here in a while.
That'll be interesting. You're right. I mean, he is the antithesis of Andy Avalos when it comes to probably how he's going to handle the media, the booster luncheon, whatever else comes with this position. Spencer will knock all that out of the park. I don't think you guys would probably know more than me, but I don't think that this type of access is going to continue when Spencer gets the full-time job, or will it? I mean, you guys, I could throw that to what direction are we going to get a weekly interview with Spencer Danielson on Idaho Sports Talk next year? A weekly with the coach? BJ, are you going to ask for the same at BNN? I mean, what is the press conferences going to look like? Who knows? I would be excited if it's going to help the media cover the team and present this team to a fan base that's going to be eager, ready, willing to get back to where they ever think they need to go. This is going to be an exciting time as far as that is concerned with Spencer Danielson. Now, I still want to know, what's it going to look like when they lose 2 in a row? You guys look at the non-con next year. I mean, Spencer Danielson's never lost a game. It's sunshine and lollipops and puppy dogs, guys. Like, what's going to happen when this thing does take a different turn? We'll have to see, but all of a front row seat and enjoy it.
He's John Mallory. Mike Prater's here as well. My name is BJ Rains. We're live on 95.3, The Ticket, KTIK, as well as the Bronco Nation News and KTIK social media channels. Busting in for programming here on a Sunday afternoon. Spencer Danielson, the new head coach of the Boise State football team. We got 469 of you watching right now on social media, listening on KTIK as well. I want to play the video here in a second of Jeremiah Dickey informing the team of this decision. But, Mike, we're getting a lot of questions on here about the coaching staff and the makeup of the coaching staff, what Spencer Danielson's going to do. How much turnover do you think there is going to be in terms of Spencer Danielson wanting to bring in his own guys? Is he just going to run this thing back next year with pretty much the same staff? And a lot of questions about Bush Hamdan as well. Do you think he'll be back next year?
I do think Bush Hamdan will be back next year. That's not a lock. That's just more of an educated guess. Bush Hamdan, I saw him doing an interview the other day and out there on social media, somebody's podcast. And I really have it seems like that those two are very, very tight. I think Spencer Danielson will be your head coach. What is going to happen? I would imagine he's going to hire a defensive coordinator. We'll see how that shakes out. I wouldn't be surprised at some point if Bush Hamdan gets the associate head coaching job and give him some kind of label and keep him here as the offensive coordinator. As a Boise State guy, I would certainly want to have Bush Hamdan in this offense. We saw what we saw in the last couple of games. We saw what we saw the other night in Vegas. This offense is rolling, and Bush Hamdan should be a part of that moving forward. Of course, they're going to lose a couple. They lost 40% of Andy Avalos's staff after his first year. They lost 40% of Andy Avalos's staff after his second year. They're going to lose at least a couple of guys off the staff this year. That's just part of the nature of the beast. And there's at least one guy on this staff that I wish would make a change. We'll save that for down the road. But yeah, there'll be some changes, but I think it'll be the Spencer and Bush Hamdan show.
Johnny, your thoughts on the coaching staff?
I think it's a no-brainer to keep Bush unless Bush has a better option. And maybe that's the case. Maybe Bush is looking at options he wants to weigh, and maybe he sees something else. Who knows? I think Bush likes it here. I know we coordinated the heck out of that offense. It was the best offense in the league this year. I think it's going to do well in the bowl game, regardless of what participants are happening. I expect this offense, the line, everything that he's put together. I'd like to see Bush Hamdan year 2. I'd like to see what he can do, develop, spend some time with an offense and get into more of a rhythm. Next year, he'll start spring off, running from the ground. Same with fall camp. And this offense can maybe even get better next year. Defensive coordinator. I mean, is Kane Ione saying, hey, Spence, buddy, old pal, we've been co-DCs here for a couple years now. Can I at least get a chance for this gig? I mean, where's Spencer going to go at defense? He's a defensive guy. That's kind of my question, where he's going to go as far as the staff is concerned. I expect Bush to be back. You never know, though, whether it's Spencer or Bush who maybe makes the decision to part ways. You guys know college football. Staffs are crazy this time of year. Guys are coming and going. Everybody's looking out for them and their family and their situation. But I would hope that for Bronco Nation, that Bush Hamdan stays with this offense. Guys, he did a really good job this year. Any suggestion otherwise, I think, is just pretty ridiculous.
And I think most folks know this by now, but Boise State is going to the LA Bowl to play against UCLA. And there was a press conference earlier today that all three of us were on. Chip Kelly had some very nice things to say about Spencer Danielson. I'm led to believe Spencer Danielson already knew this was happening because it happened like 20 minutes after. So Spencer Danielson played things pretty good there in terms of acting, about not knowing what was going on and things like that. But Jeremiah Dickey meeting with the team, informing them of the decision. If you're listening on KTIK, there's going to be some cheering and stuff, but this is the video we're playing here on the social media. This was from the Boise State football account when Jeremiah Dickey informed the team that he was hiring Spencer Danielson just about an hour ago.
Congratulations on yesterday. I hope you know how much I love you. And because of that, it was important for us to go through a process, right? And I met with a couple of you, and I wanted to make sure I found the right person to lead this program. And I know it was a long process. It seems like forever for me, but the last 3 weeks has been challenging, but in a very positive way as well. I've seen this team come together. I've seen you respond like I've never seen a team respond before. That's what a Bronco is. I'm so grateful for you guys. I can't say enough of how much joy you bring me as your leader. And I'm going to try not to get emotional. I love you guys. I know that you all had expectations for this search. I know that every single one of you has either tweeted at me, spoke about it in a press conference with me in the room, with my boss, thank you. I know how much you love Spencer. And I'm glad, because he is your new head coach.
Well, there you have it. Mike Prater, your reaction to seeing that video there.
You'd have to be a real crusty old dude not to get fired up about that and get some goosebumps. I got some goosebumps there, and I can't imagine what it's like to be a true Bronco, like everybody in that room is, and the blood and the sweat and the tears of what those guys have gone through, and how much love they've shown for Spencer Danielson over the last couple of weeks. And to hear that noise, that's really cool. That's, we've heard over the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks, and frankly, the last couple of years, all the ugliness of college football. But that's what it's all about, guys. It's about the grassroots love. It's about the grassroots sport. It's about men telling each other they love each other, and let's go out and battle each other for the same common cause. And I think that the locker room is together. The locker room is unified right now, and that's got to be mission number one. And Jeremiah Dickey and that fan base and Spencer Danielson and those players all have to feel absolutely spectacular. There can't be one dry eye in that room right now.
And we were there.
Go
ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, hey guys, as long as, videos like that are going to circulate, college football is always going to find a special place in the heart of a lot of people and a lot of fans out there. I mean, that's why we love sports, college football, videos like that. And Spencer Danielson, I mean, he did what, they say in life, leave no doubt, force someone, don't let them get you out of the building. Spencer Danielson did that since he got this gig. He just left no doubt to Jeremiah Dickey that he had to move forward with this hire, and he did. And Prater likes to say kumbaya. Dude, it's kumbaya in the Blameyer right now, and that video is just further evidence of that. And I love how he calls out Tubes there. And one of you guys was in a press conference saying that right in front of me and my boss. That was kind of a jab
on the stage.
Yeah.
Literally on the stage last night at the game. He's saying, end the search. We got our guy. And like Jeremiah and Marlene Trump are on the stage, 5 feet from him. So how do you guys think about the game? Mike Prater, the game yesterday playing into this decision. I know everyone's saying it's not one game, wasn't going to decide it. They may have made this decision anyway. It just wouldn't have looked or felt as good to some. I'm sure if this was the decision they were going to go, that obviously Jeremiah Dickey was just praying they would find a way to win the game to be able to sell it a little bit easier. But what do you make of this yesterday's game playing into all this?
The final piece of the puzzle. It had to have been at that point. Jeremiah Dickey is all about the process. He writes about and talks about the process all the time. And he was putting all his pieces of the puzzle together. Did he know? He probably had a hunch, but just like Johnny opened the show and like Jeremiah Dickey's opened the previous press conference, the head, the heart, and the gut has to all align. You got to sleep on that and try to get rid of all those emotions that you possibly can. So, even if he had decided before, and I don't think yesterday's game either way would have made a difference in the outcome, but you can't announce a football coach on a Friday and then for whatever reason that football team goes out and lays a dud on Saturday. You lose the PR battle in the first 24 hours when you're trying to win the press conference, and these are the easiest press conferences to win. No chance you need to even risk that kind of thing. So he got the last piece of the puzzle. He put it into place. He did himself the high five. He fist bumped himself, and he was very happy about it. Went home and slept last night and woke up this morning. And I'm sure in terms of the offer, the negotiations, the term sheet, I've already asked Boise State for the term sheet. They're trying to get it out later this afternoon, but probably more likely tomorrow before the press conference, which I think is at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning in the Stickle Sky Club. So we'll have all that information, and we'll do this all over again tomorrow starting at 11 o'clock. But I don't think it had anything to do with the outcome, but it certainly was the last piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle looks pretty damn good right now.
Yeah, and for those watching on KT on the channels here, we got the video of Jeremiah Dickey after the game yesterday, and just kind of soaking this all in. And then you're going to see him embrace Spencer Danielson here in a second. But Johnny, what do you make of all the players that we're seeing it on social media, and all the former players and all the players that we interviewed, and Alexander Tubner on the stage? I mean, what do you make of all that, and just the public groundswell for Spencer Danielson, and how that may have played into all this?
That's what's tough for athletic directors, right? Because it feels like if the interim has success in wins and losses, all of a sudden, the players, they all love playing for the interim guy, right? The interim guy's never the hard ass on the staff, so it seems. The interim guy, I say this joke all the time, and it's ice cream for breakfast a lot. It's how, hey, it's the coach we all love. It's the players guy. And sometimes you've seen in football that interim situation and that interim tag get lifted, and those coaches getting a chance to coach. Some I'm sure have had success. Some I'm sure have not. They're all different. And in this particular case, Jeremiah Dickey, was this hire kind of handed to him? It felt like it. Prater said it's kind of like Avalos, but it's different. And I was like, yeah, it's true. There's a lot of similarities where it's like, hey, don't worry, Jeremiah. We got this for you. That's kind of what we said when he showed up with Andy. Don't worry, Jeremiah. We got this coach. You're going to love him. Everything's going to be great. And then he removes Andy, starts a national search. Nah, JD, we got you. Nope, it's Spencer. Trust me, and all the players. Obviously, they have support. A lot of times the interim gets the support of the players. You need it. Spencer has it. But more importantly, Spencer Danielson was able to get the support of Jeremiah Dickey, and that needed to be his number one support staff, his sports support system, Jeremiah Dickey, and he was. And now Spencer Danielson gets to become a head coach of a top 25, top 35 program in this country.
He's John Mallory. My name is BJ Rains. Mike Prater is here as well. And Mike, you see this image, Spencer Danielson holding up the championship trophy, hopefully the first of many. But, once you saw this yesterday, we all probably, this kind of had to be the direction they were going, right? It would have been pretty hard, unless you're getting a Kellen Moore type, to sell this after you see Spencer Danielson holding that trophy.
You opened up this show, about 22 minutes and 33 seconds ago by making fun of my tweet that said, just stop the process, give him the job right now. I think it was this exact scene where I did this. Yes, I got caught up in the emotions. We all got caught up in the emotions. That's exactly what Boise State envisions for its football program moving forward. How about that, guys? How about a flashback? Craig Thompson presenting Boise State football a Mountain West Championship trophy. I remember those days, guys. I remember those days very, very well, as do a lot of other people. And that happened on the stage yesterday. And here's Spencer Danielson getting his grubby little hands on that trophy. And it was a feel-good moment for this Boise State football family, for Bronco Nation and everybody else. So I think we all got caught up in the emotions. And at that point, to me, it was very, very obvious that Jeremiah Dickey had to figure out a way to hire Spencer Danielson.
Okay, Mike, what would the potential yellow flags be, though? When you were looking early on, like why you wouldn't have maybe hired Spencer Danielson a couple weeks ago, and right now it's everybody's happy, it's a great hire, that's fine. But when you peel back a little bit and just to play, both sides of it here, first-time head coach, some would say the defense, really struggled this year. I point to last year, they were number 7 in total defense, number 14 in points allowed last year as well. But, the defense did struggle this year. First-time head coach. I mentioned he's only 35 years old. What were some of, other than just wanting an outside hire? Like if this doesn't work in a couple of years and we're doing this again, what do you think we'll be looking back at as to why it didn't work, you think?
Well, Spencer Danielson's resume, let's take the emotions. Let's take the CEO business approach. And Andy Avalos was a first-time CEO who failed, who obviously has to polish up his CEO skills. Maybe Spencer's a little bit better at that, but you know what? The resume is pretty much the same. You just kind of talked about it. A young defensive coordinator with no head coaching experience. That was Jeremiah Dickey's first hire. He just hired the exact same guy, although it's not really the exact same guy. A guy that comes in from outside the family brings a lot of energy. Look what Jeremiah Dickey's done since he took that job at Boise State and how he's changed Boise State. This dude has changed Boise State. We don't know how Spencer Danielson could change Boise State, how an outsider could have changed Boise State. So to me, those are the only really true things that come into play for me right now is you missed an opportunity, not so much to win the press conference with a splashy hire, the kind of stuff that ball game loves. That stuff goes a long way and it's important. But the outside hire to me was the long-term effect. Jeremiah Dickey didn't really gain any traction the first year because he was working behind the scenes talking to donors. The second and the third years when this stuff's taken off, and a new hire probably would have taken off in the second or third year if they made the right hire. But more of the same with Andy Avalos, the outside lost opportunity. I can't really think of anything else there. I wish I was more negative about this hire, but I'm not.
Johnny, just your thoughts in terms of how eager and excited people should be, and is this a slam dunk? I mean, is this thing going to work here, or where are you at just about the future here?
Yeah, I mean, if I felt this hire looked anything like your haircut, your hairdo, I'd be a little worried right now. But I don't think this hire does. I think it looks more like me and Prater throwing a hat on for this thing. BJ, 5-2, 7-5. 10-4, 8-5, right? That's the last 4 years, the records of this football program. One conference championship in that stretch. So what type of elevation is Spencer going to need to do? No more 7-5s. They's got to be 9-3s at kind of a minimum. And that hasn't been, that doesn't just come and go every year like it used to, where 9-3 was like, what happened? Now all of a sudden 9-3 puts you in a different situation. So is Spencer going to be able to get him there? I think he's going to be able to recruit. I know he's going to keep the fans interested. I think the kids are going to play for him. He'll get the OKG, the guys that really want to know football, learn football, love football, and play football well. I think he'll do all that. I think this is going to be a pretty good era. I think Prater said it too. I don't have a lot of reservations with this thing. Maybe we find out he's not a very good game day coach between the lines. It's quirky timeout calls. It's 12 men on the field. It's 2 players wearing the number 19 jersey. It's another first half. Head scratching timeout. Maybe it's that stuff. We'll just have to wait and see. But other than one thing I can think of, guys, Spencer's got 3 games under his belt. He's got a 4th coming. Feels like the game management aspect of Spencer Danielson, head coach, has been where it needs to be, right? BJ?
So I would agree with that. I think that there was the one timeout in the Air Force game that kind of let Air Force get a field goal there right before half, which you could maybe question. But otherwise, it's been, not even the games haven't even been that close, to be honest with you. So, I'm excited to see what he can do. And I'm curious, Mike, what you think just the way this sets up with the schedule next year. You mentioned the CFP. And we don't know what's going to happen with that Oregon game. If I had to guess, the Oregon game is going to come off just because, Oregon State really wants to play and their money talks. And so I'm going to just take that out of it just for the discussion. But you're guaranteed to have Oregon State and Washington State on your schedule. And then a conference schedule that does not include Air Force, does not include Fresno, does not include San Diego State. It's a very manageable conference schedule. It sounds crazy, but I was looking at the other group of 5 teams that won their conference today, going for the group of 5 bid. I think Boise State would beat any of those teams right now with how they're playing.
Yeah.
So you knew with 5 losses, they weren't going to get it. But if they're able to, is it crazy to think Boise State in year 1 of Spencer Danielson really could be in the mix for the CFP playoffs?
No, absolutely not. Boise State was 3 plays away from maybe even 2 plays away this year. Take away the Hail Mary and maybe Boomer misses a kick against Central Florida. And, Boise State might flirt with it with 3 losses. We'll definitely get it with 2 losses. So they were that close. I'll play the Andy Avalos game. We were that close, guys. So I don't think that it's a far-fetched thing to say that Boise State can go off and compete. They're going to be on the list. Now, they got to go off and accomplish it. They got to go off and do it. We've been talking about Boise State's past and the ghost of success for a long time around here. They have a chance to win a championship and a bowl game for the first time since 17, if I remember right. That's crazy. That's 7 years ago. There's second graders who have been born that haven't ever even seen Boise State accomplish both. So that's a lot of years past. So you can't give Boise State just the automatic pass into that. But yeah, with this roster, if they can keep it intact, with the momentum they have, the schedule responsibility looks perfect. They got a couple of freebies. They got a couple of big ones. I hope they can keep that Oregon game, but the more responsible thing to do is to probably get rid of that Oregon game, which emotionally will hurt. But Boise State doesn't need to be playing Oregon State, and Washington State next year. That's crazy. That's after traveling to Atlanta for the season opener. So that's a ridiculous thought. And but yeah, I think everything as we sit here today is in place for Boise State to make that run. They just have to go off and do it.
Johnny, how did we get to this point? I mean, how are we sitting here with Boise State getting ready for the LA Bowl against UCLA with Spencer Danielson now as the full-time coach? I mean, it just, you think about the last month. I mean, Prater's covered this program a lot longer than both of us, but this isn't the Fiesta Bowl seasons or some of these 12-win seasons, but this is going to go down as one of the most memorable Boise State seasons of all time. How do we get here, Johnny?
Since 2000, guys, this has been maybe the most stable program in America. Think about that. Their coaching hires have just transitioned perfectly. They've kept it into the family. They've scored more points than anybody. They've won more games. They've won more conferences than anybody. It was completely stable. And then this year, you know, I've heard Prater's probably referenced the mid-90s more this year on Idaho Sports Talk in regards to this football team than he ever has combined. And that was when this program wasn't very stable for whatever the reason. So here, I talked about it with Prater last night on Bronco Game Night. BJ, like the triple crown of media of our business when covering a football team. We had it all in one season. We had a quarterback controversy. We had a head coach get fired during the season, and we had a conference championship. Now you get a pretty cool bowl game too. Like all this stuff, I don't know where the story begins. I don't know where it ends. You guys are the authors. You guys are the published writers in the house. I don't know how the hell you even start putting up stick-it notes on the wall, brainstorming for how you're going to put the pieces together for this season. It's unlike any other I've experienced. I've had a front row seat to this whole thing like you guys have too. And I don't really even know where to go to answer that question, except the fact that, yeah, it's unlike anything else I've experienced, guys. Big time.
And Mike Prater, you look at Spencer Danielson and his path to reach this point. I mean, a linebacker at Azusa Pacific, as we talked about, goes there as a GA, a linebackers coach, hooks up with Andy Avalos at a summer camp. He gives him a chance in 2017 to come as a GA, and he has literally worked his way up from GA to the NCAA says, oh, you can have a 10th assistant, and Spencer Danielson happened to be the GA, and they just promoted him because it was easy to be the studs coach. Then he takes over as the D-line coach. Then he goes to the linebackers coach. Then he gets the co-DC job. Then he gets the full DC job when Andy is hired. And now here he is going into year 8 with the program as the head coach. And as I said, 35 years old, the second or third or fourth youngest coach in college football right now. What do you think is going through Spencer Danielson's mind right now, Mike?
Nothing. It's complete and total spinning. Like if you ever body surfed and you got caught up in that wave and it just crushed you to the bottom of the ocean surface and you're rolling around and you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, I've been there. We've all probably been there. And there's like 7 seconds of your life that you have no idea what the hell just happened. I think that's exactly what's swirling around in Spencer Danielson's brain right now. Ball game likes to make fun of me when I talk about karma. Karma is real. It's about the energy you put out in the universe. You always get that energy back. Now, there's 2 things that have to happen. One, that karma has to be genuine and loyal and sincere. There's nobody on this planet doesn't think that Spencer Danielson is genuine, loyal, and sincere in everything he does. When he gets up in the morning and kicks the cat, he's genuine and loyal and sincere about it. That's exactly who he is. And now you get that karma, and then you have to add the hard work to it. And Spencer Danielson, from all accounts, I don't chase him around. I don't peek in his windows. I don't track his light bulb bill at the office. But by all accounts, this dude's a grinder. He's out there working nonstop family man. So you put the karma and the experience and the work ethic together. This is exactly who Spencer Danielson is. The cream, I guess, rises to the top. And in this particular case, Spencer Danielson has risen to the top.
You guys expect Taylor Green to be Spencer Danielson's week 1 quarterback next year, BJ Rains?
I do. I wouldn't. Yeah. I changed my mind on that. I think I guess it depends on Bush. I guess it depends on the plan with Maddox Madsen and his injury. And I guess there's some other things to go through, but I don't know if Taylor Green wants to go through 2 QB system again next year, but if he's QB1 and he's the guy and they tell him that, I don't know why he wouldn't want to come back to this offense and this team.
I think there's going to be a quarterback competition at one point because of Maddox Madsen's injury. It certainly won't happen in the spring. I mean, he might be able to throw in the spring, but he's not going to be out there doing anything else. In the fall, they want to open it up to a serious competition. I mean, I get the sense, guys, that Bush Hamdan, if he is the offensive coordinator, he's a Maddox Madsen guy.
He kind of is.
I kind of get that feeling. I think he's open. Hopefully he's smart enough to figure out what we've seen with Bush. I don't know what kind of impact that Andy Avalos had in that 2 QB system. It seems like maybe he kind of muddied things up a little bit, but I don't really want to go there. So maybe Bush has a little bit more clear vision. Taylor Green will be the face of the program this offseason again. He was last year, and he'll be it again this year, and rightfully so. But Maddox Madsen in the fall will probably be a wrinkle that we'll be talking about in the fall.
Mike, even if Boise State wins the 2 regular season games to end the season, but if Air Force or Fresno State are playing in the championship against UNLV and not Boise State, are we having this right now?
Probably not. Go back to what Johnny said at the top of the show. The word championship is a very powerful word, man. It's a very powerful word, and Boise State hasn't had one around here for a long time. So I think Jeremiah Dickey at one point said he better win a championship or I'm going to go find my own guy. And I'll just put it like that. I'm not saying that's what Jeremiah Dickey did, but Spencer Danielson had to take it to that limit in order to really get this job, because I really think Jeremiah Dickey, even though those two are really like-minded, and I don't think Jeff Choate was ever in the mix, or maybe after one phone call, or maybe after last time, because they're not like-minded. Jeff Choate and I think Jeremiah Dickey would butt heads. Anybody would take Kellen Moore. Bronco Mendenhall's a nice dude, but a bad fit. Jeremiah Dickey and Spencer Danielson are like-minded, very like-minded. I mean, they can look at each other in the mirror and be each other at that point. So once he put on the football show, once he put on the championship show, I don't think it was Spencer Danielson and Jeremiah Dickey. They had to fit together, and I don't think Dickey could have made any other choice whatsoever.
It's BJ. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I think that just real quick on that with what Prater was saying, I think given the opportunity to do the conference championship just gave Spencer Danielson, more opportunity to show Dickey that he's the right guy. They would have had to shut things down had they not been to the Mountain West Championship. Teams weren't practicing last week. They didn't before their bowl game. I don't believe they were, at least. I don't think you get to if you're out and you're not playing in championship week. So that would have, if Jeremiah Dickey had any type of thought thinking, you know what, I really like this other guy, that momentum would have died, I think, with Spencer. But credit Spencer, credit those teams. Again, the craziest year ever. The scoreboard, the out-of-town scoreboard just fell right in the Broncos' favor, and Jeremiah Dickey made that decision. But I think if Boise State is not playing in that game, I don't know if we're talking about Spencer Danielson as the head coach right now. Just a hunch.
2 more quick things before we get out of here, guys, on my list here. And again, John Mallory, Mike Prater, KTIK, 95.3 The Ticket. You can hear him, Prater, in the ball game. Weekdays, 3 to 6 on KTIK. My name is BJ Rains. We're also streaming on the BNN channels as well. And Mike, from right now, and maybe we say after the bowl game, but I guess we could say from now till that first game of the 2024 season, like what's on Spencer Danielson's to-do list, and what do you want to see from Spencer Danielson in the offseason here as he gets ready for the first season as his head coach?
Roster retention. I'm going to steal that word, and I'm going to use that word like crazy. Roster retention is the most important thing here, and it's not just as simple as 2 words here. Roster retention comes with many, 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 many ugly layers of name, image, and likeness. So I think he's got to go off and find some money for Taylor Green. He's got to go off and find some money for Ashton Jennings. I mean, serious money. I mean, like $500,000.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, kind of money. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen in this market. If you ask me, I would say you're probably going to lose one of those 2 guys, but that's just kind of a hunch right now, just based on the way college football is. So he's going to be able to keep 95% of this roster together. The 5% that may or may not leave will be the big hurt that will make everybody feel bad. So roster retention, I think he'll be fine at. But the name, image, and likeness part, to make sure that the roster retention focuses on the right people, is certainly going to be a big deal. Spring ball will take care of itself. Fall ball will take care of itself. The X's and O's will take care of itself. But the roster retention and the name, image, and likeness. Guys, stop fighting name, image, and likeness. Every time I tweet about name, image, and likeness, somebody comes in and says, I ain't paying for that kid to play football. That's the wrong mentality. And that's not the guy that's going to give Boise State the kind of money that's going to save Ashton Jennings. But you got to get over that mentality. You're going to have to start giving Boise State running backs $500,000 a year, guys, or they're going to bail. And I think that kind of challenge starts right now for Spencer Danielson.
Johnny, your thoughts on what Spencer needs to do here coming up soon?
Gosh, if somehow, some way we all say and we see a release or whatever, or he makes the announcement Ashton Jennings is staying for another year at Boise State, I mean, add that's a whole chapter on its own to this crazy season, right, guys? But Prater said $500,000. I'm hearing like $1 million, guys, that Genty's going to have an opportunity to make, maybe not just in straight cash, but in other opportunities as well. And I just can't see Ashton Genty sticking around. I hope he does. I love watching him play. Are you kidding me? But I won't knock Spencer on that. I don't know if any group of five situation would be able to keep a player like that. I think Ashton Genty will be the most sought after group of five player in the transfer portal. I haven't heard anybody create this type of buzz. Maybe there's a lineman or something somewhere as well. But most of these guys, I agree, Prater, 95% of these guys are going to want to sign up and run through a brick wall, right, dude? I mean, they're going to want to play with Spencer Danielson. They just won the league. So next year, it's like, yeah, okay, we won the league. Next year, let's get back nationally a little bit. And we got all these big boys on our schedule. Let's pick a couple of those off, and let's win these games. And fans will certainly be fired up if that's the case, guys.
Mike Prater, there was a press conference today for the bowl game, Boise State, UCLA. We heard from Chip Kelly, very complimentary. He actually jokingly asked if there was any chance the running back sits out the bowl game, talking about some of the guys that may not play. There's a linebacker, I believe it is, for UCLA that's going to be thinking about whether or not to play or not. But what did you take, Mike Prater, from the press conference today, but just the matchup and the opportunity Boise State has to play a Pac-12 team, another NFL stadium, prime time on ABC. I mean, another just crazy, unbelievable finish to this crazy last month. That they're in the bowl game we thought before the season they'd be in to start with.
The conspiracy theories. Chip Kelly's the reason why Jeremiah Dickey made this hire. I mean, Chip Kelly comes on the press conference and says, I think Boise State should hire him. And Jeremiah Dickey's behind the scenes going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Right? And as soon as he gets the Chip Kelly endorsement, we get the press release a half hour later. Spencer Danielson's your football coach. So now you're going to have to go out and kick Chip Kelly's ass and take care of business on the football field. I think the bowl thing is absolutely wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a recruiting opportunity. Southern California, NFL Stadium, early pre-Christmas, right before the signing period. This checks so many recruiting boxes. It's a thing of beauty right now for Spencer Danielson. So that's going to be the next 10-day window, is take advantage of this recruiting opportunity. The matchup against UCLA, very winnable football game. UCLA's they kind of limp to the finish. They've already lost their defensive coordinator to USC. They've already lost their quarterback to the transfer portal. That football team is a little bit of a mess right now. So Boise State's only played UCLA one time in the history. That was a 1997 Rose Bowl game. Brian Harsin threw his only touchdown pass. So this is a chance to even up the series as UCLA heads to the Big Ten. But I think it's a winnable game. I think Boise State I'm going to say Boise State's starts off as a 1.5 point favorite. And sitting here right now, I think Boise State wins this football game.
What about Johnny? You, BJ? What about you?
Oh, yeah. I think Boise State wins the game as well. I mean, I looked it up. I mean, they've only had this game 2 times, but the Mountain West has won both of these matchups. Fresno State won, and then Fresno State and Utah State both have won the last 2 years over Oregon State and Washington State. And it happened in the Vegas Bowl a lot too. And the Mountain West team just has a lot more to play for in this game than the 6th or 7th best team in the Pac-12, who usually has guys sitting out like we're talking about. And if we thought Boise State's football players were motivated to try to get Spencer Danielson the job, I would suspect his first game as head coach, they're not going to want to go out there and lay an egg, here to finish off the season. So a chance at a 9th win, a chance to finish this season. I mean, if you'd said before the season, 9 wins, conference championship, LA Bowl victory, about 95% of Boise State fans would have signed up for that right away. And so it's just unbelievable that we've reached this point where that is all still attainable. And, if they lose the bowl game, everybody says, oh, that provides the chip and that fires you up for the offseason. If you win the bowl game, everybody says, oh, that gets the momentum started going in. So you can spin it either way, however you want to do it. But I certainly think in this case, to kick off the Spencer Danielson era, a win would be a huge deal for this program. Nobody cares in the future that you beat a UCLA team that was 6-6 or whatever with their backup quarterback. You can just add UCLA to the list of programs you've beaten and say you have a win over UCLA. I think it would be a big deal and would certainly start the Spencer Danielson era off on the right foot. Mike, we'll go final thoughts. Just you can take it anywhere you want. Spencer Danielson, the bowl game, where we're at right now. It's been a crazy basically 24 hours ago, 25 hours ago, they won this game. And here we are with a new coach and they're playing in the LA Bowl. Just how do you put, your final thoughts on all this, which I'm sure you'll be doing in a BNN column here at some point soon also.
Yeah, just Jeremiah Dickey. You know, I mean, he's got the golden touch right now. This isn't a suck-up attempt. Just look at the facts. Look at what he's accomplishing. And, he's taken some big-time football games off Boise State's football schedule for different reasons, and certainly his hand has been tied. That's really the only negative I got with Jeremiah Dickey. But, this is his second football hire. He's taking a risk by hiring a similar type of resume than he hired before. His legacy might be on the line here. I'm not sure if Jeremiah Dickey sticks around for the life of this contract, whatever it is. And I suspect Spencer Danielson is going to get a 3 to 5 year contract. We'll see how it is. But everything he's done has touched gold. And it's been really nice to watch. It's been that video of him talking to the team. Everything about Jeremiah Dickey, he handles it. I even like the process and the patience and the attention to detail through this coaching search and communicating and the transparency to everybody. So if you're a Boise State football fan, a Boise State athletic fan, your athletic department's in good shape with an athletic director who I think is hitting pretty close to 100% when it comes to big decisions.
Johnny, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah Dickey, at least for me, he's earned the benefit of any doubt. And when this was announced, Andy Avalos being removed, we did one of these emergency BNN hits as well. And we all said, at least me and Prater, I think, he's not going to hire Spencer Danielson. There's a perfect interim, but, Jeremiah Dickey needs to make a splash, or he needs to get his guy and introduce him to everything he's doing with this program and let Jeremiah Dickey spread his wings and hire the right person. And, the right person just ended up being, right under his nose. And I think Jeremiah Dickey with every day just gravitated more towards the possibility. I'd like to talk to him and ask him when exactly he knew, if there was that epiphany or whatever he had that said, screw it. I don't, why am I talking to this guy? Why do I have a flight scheduled tomorrow here? I know damn well who I'm going to hire. I'm going to go with Spencer. I wonder when he did have that moment. That moment is here. Spencer Danielson's the new head football coach. You get these added bowl practices. You get to just pick right up where you left off in recruiting, and people will be excited. And I'm excited to cover this football program in the Spencer Danielson era. It's crazy, but here we are.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the content coming out from Boise State. They went kind of behind the scenes during this search, and a lot of the specific candidate content, the good stuff, they kept private until they had a coach. So I would assume we're going to see parts of Spencer Danielson's interview. We're going to probably see the moment Jeremiah Dickey tells him he's giving him the job. I mean, I would suspect they had cameras with a lot of this stuff, as you saw there in the press conference. So you said you wanted to ask him. You'll get that chance tomorrow morning, Johnny, 11 a.m. Boise State's having a press conference. I believe KTIK is going to stream that live, as Bronco Nation News will as well. So whether you're listening on the radio, watching us here on the social media channels of BNN, KTIK, 11 a.m. tomorrow for the press conference with Spencer Danielson and Jeremiah Dickey. And then Spencer and the coaches are heading out recruiting. They'll come back to practice in the weekend, Friday, I believe. And then right away, this is one of the nice things about this bowl game. They turn around and head to L.A. They head to L.A. a week from Tuesday, and this thing is done, before Christmas. And here, I mean, guys, 2 weeks, we're 13 days away from the season being over. So it's coming here pretty quickly. And I know you guys will have it all covered. 3 to 6, Idaho Sports Talk Monday. And again, the press conference, 11 a.m. I believe, Prater, I guess we'll talk off air, but I guess we got some more to discuss at 9 a.m. tomorrow if we can make it work. Bronco Nation News Live. And we'll send you out again with the exact moment that he gets told that the team that Spencer Danielson is the head coach. But Johnny, Mike, appreciate you guys as always. Appreciate you jumping on and doing this. Thanks to JP as well. Thanks to all the 555 of you that are still watching here, and those thousands more listening on KTIK. Again, Spencer Danielson, Boise State's head coach. Bronco Nation News, KTIK will have you covered all week, the next couple of weeks, getting you ready for the bowl game. But then we'll start with that press conference at 11 a.m. on Monday. Have a good rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bronco Nation News, KTIK 95.3 The Ticket.
I know how much you love Spencer. And I'm glad, because he is your new head coach.